What happens when a band that hates being famous becomes one of the biggest bands in the entire world? You get the insane story of Pearl Jam. They didn't just ride the 90s grunge wave, they literally tried to sink their own ship. I'm going to show you how they sued one of the most powerful companies in music and somehow survived the decade with their souls totally intact. This is the unbelievable story of how their entire career was a constant battle, not to get to the top, but against the very machine that put them there. Pearl Jam's story actually starts from a complete tragedy. In the late 80s, two of the guys were in a band called Mother Love Bone, but right before their first album came out, their frontman, Andrew Wood, tragically died. It was devastating, but they decided to start over. They recorded a new demo, and it somehow found its way to a gas station attendant in San Diego named Eddie Vedder. He recorded his vocals over it and sent it back. The second the band heard Vedder's voice, they knew he was the one. They first called themselves Mookie Blaylock, yes, after the basketball player, but then switched to Pearl Jam. In 1991, they dropped their first album, 10, and it exploded, becoming one of the best-selling rock albums ever. Along with Nirvana and Soundgarden, Pearl Jam became the unwilling kings of the grunge scene. Their next two albums, Versus and Vitology, were even bigger, with Versus selling almost 1 million copies in its first week alone. For a moment, Pearl Jam was the most popular band on the planet. This is where the story gets completely insane, because what looked like success to you and me felt like a total nightmare to the band. They were so disgusted by the fame that they did the unthinkable. They slammed on the brakes, hard. After their music video for Jeremy became a massive hit, they just stopped making music videos. Forever. They wanted people to remember their songs, not some video on MTV. They cut way back on interviews and tried to tear down the very fame they had built. Then, in 1994, they declared war on Ticketmaster. The band was furious about the insane service fees, so they filed a complaint with the Department of Justice, claiming Ticketmaster was a monopoly. They canceled their massive summer tour to try and book their own shows without them. It was a legendary fight, but a brutal one that, in the end, they just couldn't win. By 1998, they had to start using Ticketmaster again. This is when they released weirder, more experimental albums like No Code, which was a clear sign they were done with the stadium rock sound. Pearl Jam's story is just one long, crazy fight for their art. If you love insane stories behind the music, smash that subscribe button for more rock history. Here's the craziest part. Unlike almost every other band from the Seattle scene, Pearl Jam never broke up. They just kept touring, kept recording, and kept doing everything on their own terms. They literally invented the official bootleg, releasing recordings of almost every single live show for their biggest fans. Decades later, they are the undisputed elder statesmen of grunge. They've dropped 12 studio albums, including 2024's Dark Matter, which is a huge return to their heavy rock sound. They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and are still one of the biggest touring bands in the world. They are just as independent and political as ever, and they survived the 90s not by chasing fame, but by literally running from it. Their career proves you can fight the system and still win. Pearl Jam is the band that made fighting Ticketmaster look awesome, survived the 90s without a single meltdown, and still makes flannel look cool. They proved a band's biggest fight isn't for fame, but for its soul. So I gotta ask you, what's more impressive? Surviving grunge, surviving Ticketmaster, or surviving each other for over 3 decades? Let me know in the comments, and you get bonus points if you still own a Discman.